Tim Parnell here, a local real estate agent here in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm doing a book review today. I'll be doing several of these on books that have really risen to the top of my reading list and go back and read list, and ones that I've referred to friends and family because they've just been amazing books. They've revealed things to me that have just increased my business, my productivity, my personal growth, just changed my paradigm. And so when I come across books like that, I want to share them with you because, I mean, if they're good for me, then I believe they're good for just about anybody. And so I'm going to start off really with what I think is kind of the pinnacle book of the business growth mindset books. In fact, I think really this book is one of the genesis books of the modern personal growth industry, as far as all you think of all the big names, the Tony Robbinses of the world and all the big names, every one of them has read this book. In fact, so many of them have taken a single chapter from the book, become an expert on the chapter, and then they just teach people how to focus on a single chapter, and that's how rich the content of this book is. And so, real quick before I tell you what the book is and show it to you, quick history on the book is Andrew Carnegie of the steel industry and the Industrial Revolution basically had a conversation with Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill is the author of this book. And the conversation went something like this. Hey, you have important work to do here. You're an author, you're inquisitive, and you have a mission should you choose to accept it, and that is you need to follow some of the greatest wealth producers and minds that our current world has to offer in America. And you need to figure out what a common thread of success is for these people, and you need to put this into literature so that any man, any woman can consume this and basically make it their own. So it's kind of a manual to success, if you will. So Napoleon Hill, without commission, without being paid to do it, chose to do it and basically followed around hundreds of the Industrial Revolution's most successful people and names that we're taught in history class as we grow up. And I mean, just anyone you can think of, Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and Edison, everyone that you can imagine. He's interviewing the greatest minds of successful individuals of the Industrial Revolution, which I mean is arguably one of the greatest revolutions. I mean, not just in American history, but world history, because it launched America as far as its success and its creativity and its just its ability to adapt, survive, and thrive in a new and changing world. And you had these great individuals who were making it happen. Okay, and so Napoleon Hill did that. It was a lifelong mission to go around, follow these people, gather their insights, and then compile them into a basically an organized thought process that we can read and we can act on. And I think that's the biggest thing that I look for in the book is it actionable? Is it something that I can process and go, okay, let's do some things from here? And honestly, the way I look at it is if I read one book and I only get one thing out of that book and I have to read it cover to cover, but that one thing can change my life for the better, then it's absolutely worth the time and the money. And so the thing about Think and Grow Rich is as I've grown in business and grown as an individual, I keep coming back to it. Don't worry, there's another book that I do the same thing with, but this one just has to do with specifically business, and that is Think and Grow Rich. Okay, and so this is a truly revolutionary book, and it set the standard for personal growth, business development. I mean, it is the book that is, in my opinion, the genesis of true self-help books, business books, and so on. Because the funny thing, once you read this book and you start reading other books that were written after it, you realize they all tie back to Think and Grow Rich. Now, here's the thing. If you've never read this book, the title is a little bit misleading, okay? I mean, it isn't once you get into it, but if you're judging it by the cover and judging it by the title makes you think, well, I mean, it's just a get rich book. It's not. It's a thinking rich book. It's a taking the actions of a wealthy-minded individual. And let's be honest, most people we know were not raised in wealthy-minded households. Okay, I love my family, but that is not one of the things that I would attribute to my growing up is having that wealth mindset. It's something I'm having to learn as an individual now. And so when I think about passing on wealth to my own children and my legacy, I don't think about the money that I want to pass on. I think about the knowledge of acquisition of money, right? It's the knowledge of how to manage it appropriately to hold on to it and to invest it. And that knowledge, that is the true generational wealth that I want to pass on. And so books like this are awesome because I can, provided that my kids would process and read these, I can hand them the book and be like, here's a great place to start. All right. Now, I didn't read this thing until I was probably about 37. And since then, about 3 more times. And I need to read it again. But a phenomenal book to break into the world of business development, personal growth. And it's raw. I mean, if you actually think about the fact that it's written in the 30s, I believe, it's raw in that it puts some things out there that just make you go, huh, they talked about that in the 30s? Now, there's also, and I mean, to be fair, there's cultural things that are appropriate for the times that even today we might go, but at the same time, they're still applicable, okay? And so it's stories of triumph, it's stories of expanding your mind and helping you grow and understanding setting goals. And one of the biggest things that I think came out of this book for me was what's considered the mastermind. And if you've ever heard the word mastermind, this book right here is the originator of the mastermind. This is where the idea came from. Well, it didn't come from the book. It was recorded in the book as what those individuals were doing. So if you've ever been, say, a school teacher, if you've ever been in business or you've started your own business, or you can even have a mastermind with your family or your church. If you've sat down to have a mastermind, a think tank, if you will, then the original process came from this book, okay? So that's just something I thought was really interesting. But completely applicable, extremely actionable book, and one that if you don't have it in the library and you've never processed it, my suggestion is get an Audible version because it is dense and does take some time. I'm a slow reader, by the way, not afraid to admit it. Very slow reader, but this one's worth mowing through. And I started with an audio book, and then I've read it physically a couple times and heard it a couple times just so I can get it in when I can. So that is it. Think and Grow Rich. If you don't have it in your library, add it to the library, and it's worth it. Recommended. And I'll be back again with another highly recommended book by me, Tim Parnell. Until next time.